Hey, I'm just at my house right now, but I want to give you a powerful tip of getting your lawn and landscaping business off the ground and to the next step. Back when I plowed snow for 15 years and I got really burned out on it. I might go back into it, that's another story, but while plowing snow, I was able to listen to hundreds of hours of audiobooks, online programs, courses, consult with other friends who were business owners who were also plowing snow out in the middle of the night on the phone. It's a magical world out plowing snow. And what I want to say is, Lawn Care Millionaire, out of many things that I stumbled upon and listened to, and this could be a shout out to him, that's fine, but he's a guy on YouTube who has like a $10 million fully automated lawn and landscaping business. And he's been doing it for years, right? The guy's brilliant, but not without tons of hard work. Well, he's put out a couple thousand videos on how to grow your lawn and landscape business. And he had this thing back in the day called like the Daily Cut, where he would like just come on for a few minutes and say his tip of the day. So I went deep down a rabbit hole of his stuff for I think 3 weeks straight, and bro, I must have listened to 100 Lawn Care Millionaire videos, and excuse me, I kind of get pissed off when I'm making these videos because I'm not showing incredibly entertaining stuff. I'm just in a bathroom talking. So if you've already left the video, then fine, but if you're still here, what up though? So the most powerful thing, I could talk about this for 5 hours, but I will narrow it down to the most powerful thing I've ever heard him say. He said he grew his little lawn care business to the point where he was so stressed out many, many years ago when he first got started. I think he was 5 years into the game, and he wasn't really making a lot of money. He couldn't afford to grow the business, and he got to the point where he was so stressed out. He woke up one day and he was like, that's it, I'm shutting this entire business down. I'm stressed to the max, I'm not making any money, and it's just not working. He was done. When you're not when you're done, but when you're actually done. You can say that you're done with your business, but when you're actually done for real. And he said, I'm kind of citing off my own, but he kind of laid there and he was like, and I can't even manufacture the bit because I'm not done in my business. But if you're at that point, when you're laying there, there's a peace that comes over you when you know it's actually done for real and you're out of the business and you're done with it. All the fear goes away and you're not grasping as you're trying to stop yourself from falling. You've hit rock bottom. You shake yourself off and you've moved on. You're over it. You've went through and you've processed the grief and you're actually done for real. And a deep wave of peace comes over you when you're actually ready to just quit your whole business. He said in that moment, since I'm quitting my whole business and I'm shutting it down, what does it hurt if I do some experiments? And he was like, you know what? Since I'm out of the business anyways and I don't even give a shit, I'm just going to do an experiment. What if I just raise the prices to what they would have to be if, and he's telling this in a video, it was a very vulnerable moment. It was a beautiful thing that this must have been 2012 or 2015 he made this video, a long time ago. You got to watch it. If I can find it, I'll put it in the link below, but I probably can't find it. He said, what if I did an experiment and I just put the prices at what they would be, since I'm quitting anyways, I got nothing to lose. What if I just put the prices at what they would be if I were to have to run a fully legitimate business that did all the things that I needed it to do? What would those prices have to be? So he just crunched the math and that was his new minimum. He didn't care what anybody thought. And he said it blew his mind because he went to a bunch of his clients, and with the new price, he was not attached. This is the main thing. He didn't give up. And he said 30% of them are like, okay, I'll keep you. And he was like, what? What are you talking about? Okay, I guess I'll go cut a few lawns at this new crazy high price. And then he was like, I don't care anyway, so I'm just going to, he ran his business that way. And he said, before his very eyes, all of a sudden, the business was working and he was making the money he needed to make, and he was like, this is crazy. Like, the whole problem was in his head the whole time. And then actually he was able to actually build a legitimate business that was able to have support him in salary and start hiring people, because now he was doing it from a new foundation. So with this deep lesson here, now you might actually do that. Just, I don't want to be discouraging. You might actually have woken up to that already, and then you run your business for another year or two, and then you're like, oh my God, even that wasn't enough money to grow the business. It's just enough to stay stuck at a slightly higher level, right? And then you realize you need to raise more, and then you find out the marketplace doesn't bear the amount of money you actually need to charge to make it work. So then you got to figure something else out, and something else out, and something else out. And still today, to me, how he, of several people, not a lot, have grown a $10 million landscape business can only be accomplished through complete laser focus. I don't know how he did it yet. Go watch his videos. But I do know that one thing, if you're stuck in your business and maybe you're trying to cross over the 100K mark or even the 200K mark and you're pulling your hair out, you can listen to someone like Joe Polish, Piranha Marketing on Audible.com. I mean, $20 and a couple books will blow your mind. They've actually figured out the math, like Dan Sullivan's strategic coach. But with Piranha Marketing by Joe Polish, he's actually crunching the numbers of the math of like if you raise your prices 20% across all clientele, given that you had at least 100 clients, you would actually only lose. I don't know the exact math. I'd have to listen to it again, but I've used it before. This is what actually changed my business back a few years ago, because he said no matter how you feel, the math proves that if you raise your prices, I think it's like 20%, which is a lot because you're adding that possibly directly to your bottom line, you will theoretically only lose 10% of your clientele, which means you will be doing less work and making the same or more money. So the first thing that you can do right away is to raise your prices. And the thing that justified that for me, because I was terrified, I was like, what about these customers and clients that love me so much and I care about them and I even know the names of their dogs, and I go out of the way to I'll go do their lawn and landscaping while they're on vacation, and I'll jump on a Sunday. And like, I thought I had real relationships with a lot of these customers that I had this emotional attachment to, because they were the ones who gave me a chance. See, I used to have resentment towards them, but I don't anymore. Now I'm fond of my past, because I made a video, quick circle I'm going to open, listen to me. I made a video a couple years ago how I was pissed off at all my old clients that when I raised all the prices, they all just started firing me. And I was like, what about these years of relationship that we had? I'm nothing than chopped liver to you. You're going to go find the next cheapest landscaper, and I've been your landscaper for 5 years, and you're just going to dump me on my head because I raised the prices a little bit so I can afford to get out of a one-bedroom apartment? You bastard. How could you do this to me? Like, I was furious that I felt betrayed. For real, emotionally hurt by all these customers that I thought actually cared about me, but all they cared about actually was the money, and they didn't actually support me. But looking back, maybe that illusion that they actually cared about me was just enough to make me feel important enough to keep going, to not quit. So, but how I know I've evolved past that, and how you might know, is when you become fond of it and you see the silver lining is that, man, I feel grateful that those customers gave me a chance. If it wasn't for all of them, water seeking its own level, calibrating, the cheaper customers were looking for the cheaper landscaper because they probably didn't want to or couldn't afford or didn't care to pay the higher price guy, which if it was me now, wouldn't calibrate to them, just like my current customers might not calibrate to me in the future me, right? Some of them, a subset of them, a percentage, because nothing is all or none. It's all on a gradient. It's a percentage. It's a partial truth at best. So the partial truth that I choose to believe in, which makes sense to me holistically now, is that I am very fond of the past and all those customers and thankful for them for giving me a chance to get my business off the ground. How awesome. How incredibly thankful. So with all that being said, there's a ton of wealth and knowledge. Oh, there's one other huge point I want to point out that you can find just on YouTube, right? If you know where to look, if you want to scour through thousands of hours of information, you got to find the gold nuggets in there, which today, with all the demands on our time, constraints on our time, and the huge amount of distractions, especially with social media, it's like, who has thousands of hours to dig? That's why I believe in paying for information, doing coaching, consulting, online courses. I've gotten at the point where I consume very little social media content online that's free anymore, because you have to scour through so much free shit just to find anything that's good. I just buy online courses and pay for consulting up to, I've paid $1,000 an hour for coaching calls. Join private group coaching. I'm in the Joshua Latimer's War Plan Insiders. It's $5,000 to get in. It's expensive, but what you're paying for is who's not in the room. What you're paying for is the elimination of distractions. What you're paying for in private group coaching workshops and online courses and one-on-one consulting is you're paying for specific focus and accountability, right? Some people might have you might have the answers and the information, but you just can't get the leverage on yourself to actually get yourself to do it and stick with it until it's done. That's why you pay for an accountability coach to hold your hand and walk you through the process and check up on you and make sure that you do it. So in the end, when the guy is standing on stage, they call the actor Leonardo DiCaprio. No, he's one of my favorite actors. He stands on stage and he's getting a Grammy or whatever. He stands up there and says, "Hey, thanks for this, but I couldn't have done it without my team. I couldn't have done it without the organization of amazing people of, just like the business owner accepts the award. He's like, dude, thanks for this, but like my friend Steve DeHunt has this $7.5 million landscape business. And he's like, I just feel thankful I can even have the privilege to participate in this." Like, what? You're the owner. What are you talking about? Do you understand the gold that I'm dropping right now? I'm just a dude standing in my bathroom with cat hair on my shirt. Go back and listen to that again. My friend Joshua Latimer says, it is a privilege to even be able to participate in what God is going to do anyways. So this changes the paradigm of you now seeing yourself through a different lens, a lens of, exclusive equity would be the non-religious teachings and articulations of Christ. I'm not trying to push my beliefs on you here, because people are like, oh my God, no, he's talking about God. Just listen to me for a second. We're talking about being a good steward of your business, of your clientele, of your relationships and your family and everything. Like, when you see it, even as I say that, I feel a chill of responsibility that comes over me. Like, watch what you speak and what you say, because now you have to live up to that expectation. And that's a good feeling. What is that feeling? My friend William, I went yesterday, I'm posting on YouTube soon. He just took down a monster maple tree over like houses and power lines with a crane 100 feet up in the sky. It's epic. Moving 6,000 pound logs, and like it's very dangerous shit. And there has to be an entire crew of people who everybody knows their role and they're safe and they're wearing protective gear and they have training. You don't just start out doing 100-foot trees over power lines with 6,000 pound pieces of wood with chippers and commercial equipment and a crane dangling with huge chainsaws. You start out, work your way up year after year after repetition and focus. And there's something he says to me that's amazing. We had a mutual friend who had worked with William for a couple months. And he said to me one time, he goes, you know what's interesting to me? Listen to what I'm saying. He goes, William told me at work the other day that days before big tree job, they do a lot of tree jobs, but once every couple of weeks they do a monster tree job. Days before that job, William is, now trust me, he's one of the best in the world at this. He is like, I don't think nervous is the word. He's prepared. He has an anxiousness. He can't do anything else but just focus and obsess and obsess and obsess over this tree job, wanting everything to go right. To the point of It could be maybe described as, pardon me if I'm wrong, if you watch this, some type of like a nervous tension, right? But then my friend reported to me, he goes, that worked with William for a few months. He goes, but I don't understand. We get on the tree job and everything goes perfectly smooth. What was William even worried about this entire time? It always goes smooth. I'm like, and what that made sense too, because if you study Ken Wilber's cosmic consciousness and integrated truth, everybody is right from their own perspective, right? Well, that can't always be true. But people believe that they're right. So I'm not saying he's wrong, but what I'm saying is that's because you're not William. Why do you think the job went so smooth? Because he spent so much time in preliminary anticipation, and he ran through the systems and processes and thinking, and he has developed a level of mastery where he knows he's preparing his nervous system to literally go up against an ultimate Goliath. And in that moment, when he actually shows up on that job site that morning and attaches himself to that crane and goes up 80 or 100 feet into the sky and then bucks himself to a tree and starts a chainsaw in the freezing cold and makes that cut, until that first cut is made and the train and the chipper gets started and the guy's on the ground and that huge chunk of tree, that first chunk gets raised up safely, is lowered to the ground, and he watches it go through the chipper, and now everything's working. Then he goes, all right, we got this shit, right? But he's only been able to get to that level of mastery by pulling apart and dissecting each individual subsystem and perfecting it to then pull the whole system back together to where on the outside it appears like magic, to where he's like, to people are like, it's amazing. He makes it look so easy. You don't understand the level of sacrifice it took and passion. You don't just go do that because you want money. No, it's so aligned with your core of who you are and your passions that I believe that right there is the next thing that will let you take your business to the next level, is a deep level of passion. If you're not passionate about the landscaping itself, then you better be passionate about your clients or building your team or the marketing or just the symphony and orchestration of running a business in and of itself, which is like the next secret, is running a business in and of itself is an entire passionate thing. Like, that's what I love about the landscape business. If you plant a shrub and it dies, you can replant it. If you over trim a shrub, and you destroy it, it'll grow back, or you can plant a new one. If you lay a brick patio and that could be a little more costly. If you mess up a little something, most of the time it can be fixed with a little bit of sweat or a simple apology, and then you learn your lesson. You're not doing heart surgery, if you know what I'm saying. So what a beautiful and amazingly rewarding opportunity and privilege to steward something like a service business where you constantly get, well, until a certain point, as long as you're learning, you get chances. You get plenty of chances to improve and grow and work on this system. And then it becomes not less about the landscaping, but more about, wow, I get to run this business. One little false move doesn't end everything, like making a mistake doing heart surgery. So it's next level. You're seeing it from a higher level. So with everything being said, I talked about Lawn Care Millionaire talking about his business and how he was going to shut the whole thing down. And he's like, you know what? Since I don't care anymore, he's not emotionally attached to the outcome. What if I did some experiments and I started running my business the way I really wanted to run it? What if you got excited about your business again? What if you spent some time reading up and researching how businesses actually operate? What if you started to learn how to run the administration, the sales, the marketing, the promotions, the production, and you looked at your business in a whole new way? And now this time, it's like you're a scientist. I'm so inspired. I got to go back to working. I'm standing in the bathroom making video.